Welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So recently I made a pretty significant switch in my strategy in the way that I've been running my eBay store. For a while, I was actually running based upon volume. I was thinking if I could buy things for $1 to $3 and if I could sell it for 15 to 20, then that would be a model that would work well for me. And it has been fairly okay. But one of the problems that happens is that when you're playing that, you have to sell a lot more stuff in order to reach your potential target revenue. So what ended up happening was that I ended up being a little bit over inventoried. And so what I wanted to do was I ran a sale for the past month or so. I cleared out a lot of the older inventory that had really been sitting around for a little bit. But at the same time, you still have to keep your store fresh. You still have to keep stuff uploading. So I kind of wanted to approach my strategy a little bit differently and try something that I had kind of been avoiding actually. And so with that in mind, what the focus of this video will be the underlying strategy is that I went to two Goodwills here in San Diego, and I was really picky actually while I was there. I was really looking for stuff that had a minimum margin of about $20 to $30 profit. Sometimes it was higher. But if it wasn't really hitting that, unless it was something that I knew that sold really fast, I was generally just skipping it. Where in the past, I might have been like, oh, if I'll make 10 to 15 on it, then I'll be okay. So I kind of wanted to make sure that my margin per item was a little bit higher, and obviously paying attention to sell-through rate. So if you have watched some of my other videos, I've explained the sell-through rate thing. A real quick synopsis, and this is not my idea. This is something that a lot of online sellers talk about. But basically, if you compare eBay active versus eBay solds, actives could have been listed at any time. Solds will have been the solds in the past 90 days. So from there, you can kind of get a feel for how quickly something will sell. So if there's 100 of them listed and there's only 10 of them sold in the past 90 days, then you know that it only has a 10% sell-through rate every 90 days. It will sell pretty slow. If there's 100 of them listed, 100 of them sold in the past 90 days, you know it has a 100% sell-through rate. And so you know that it will sell fairly quick. If it's higher than that, even better. So what I'm looking for, and what I was specifically looking for when I went out to these Goodwills yesterday, was both the combination of a higher margin, so looking to make a minimum of about $20 to $30 per item, as well as a really high sell-through rate. So these are the two things that I was looking for. And just going to go over item by item. I'm going to show you the brands. Maybe this is something that'll be helpful for you if you're getting your own store off the ground. And with that in mind, let's just jump right in. So the first Goodwill that I went to was the Goodwill in La Jolla. La Jolla is a very wealthy, ritzy neighborhood here in San Diego. It's a Goodwill where things are a little bit priced up, but there's also going to be a lot of good brands there. This first item actually is one of the few items that doesn't really match the descriptions of what I actually outlined. So this is actually a shirt by a brand called Cool. You'll see their little logo on the sleeves as well. I paid $12.99 for it, and this will sell for somewhere between 25 to 30, but it has about 100% sell-through rate every 90 days. So this was one item where, as I was going out of the store, I realized I hadn't gotten as many items as I wanted, and I knew that this is a perfectly fine item to have in your store. So I just decided to grab it on my way out. The next item that I bought was this, and I may actually keep this for myself just because there's a little bit of scuff wear on it. And one thing that I will say is belts and ties is something that I've been recently paying a little bit more attention to. But this is a Torino. Let's see if you can see that. It might be hard to read, but this is a Torino belt. I paid $4.99 for it. It's 100% leather, made in USA. And this should sell for around 30 to 50. I do notice now that there's a little bit of scuff wear on it, and considering I only paid $5 on it, I might end up keeping this for myself, but we'll see. Next up. This was actually one other item that just because the price was right and the sell-through was there, that I was willing to squeeze the margin a little bit more. So I paid $7.99 for this, and this is REI Co-op Men's 34 by 30 brown hiking pants. So these will sell for about 25 to 30. Percentage-wise, the margin is still the same, but paying $8 to sell it for maybe 25 is a little bit under that $20 marker. But these will also sell really well, really quickly, especially now that people are kind of freshening up their pants going into fall and winter. So one other thing also with REI, there's the REI main brands and then there's REI Co-op. And I found that, especially with more basic stuff like this, which is just kind of like a standard pair of hiking pants, the REI Co-op brand usually sells a little bit better. Next up, and this one was a new one for me. If I remember correctly, I think comps for this were around $60. I paid $10 for this. That's going to be around the average price point of things that I paid for today. It's a brand B.A.&S.H. And they are a pair of women's high-waisted kind of crop pants. I always forget what the name of this kind of waist is. If you know, let me know. But these should, I looked it up. I think these would sell somewhere in like the 40 to 60 range. Next up, this was another new brand for me. This is a brand called Venti 6. And they're like a camo, they almost have like a canvasy feel, but they're like a camo pair of pants. They have like the stud on the side, the stud thing on the side. These as well, about 40 to 60. I paid $8 for these. Now, if you don't know about this, then you should. So obviously everyone knows about Ralph Lauren, but Ralph Lauren actually has different tiers of their labels. So like the bottom most is like Chaps, and then it's like Lauren Ralph Lauren, and then it's like Polo Ralph Lauren, then it's like Ralph Lauren Blue Label, like the actual just Ralph Lauren on a blue label. They have a couple other ones. I think Denim and Supply, I think, is one of them, which is not active anymore, but those stuff can be decent. But their highest brand is actually Purple Label. So this is only the second time I've ever found Ralph Lauren Purple Label. This is a woman's size 2 kind of side zip pair of pants. Just kind of, very normal work pants. I would expect these would sell for around 70 to 80, give or take, somewhere in like the 60 to 100 range. If you find Ralph Lauren Purple Label, that is the best of Ralph Lauren. Next up, this is a brand that I love. It is a brand called Nast Luxury Originals. Usually like kind of silk bowler Hawaiian shirt type things. This one is actually new with tags. They had another one, but it had a little bit of stain into it, so I skipped it. New with tags. I would expect that this would go somewhere, because usually these go for around 30 to 40 in used condition. And so I would expect that this would go for around 50 to 70, give or take. But I'll say 40 to 60. This is an example of where, like, with jeans especially, but with pants overall, a lot of it is style dependent and dependent on the cut. So something that's happening a lot nowadays is that people are not as much into skinny jeans, especially women are not as much into skinny jeans. Like the whole wide leg, flare, all of that kind of thing is coming back and has been coming back. So this is a brand called Frame. Let's see. Really good brand. It is the L'Italien wide crop jean. And you can see the leg is actually like this kind of wide leg jean. These are, like, overall, just right now, wide leg jeans are selling pretty well. These, I would guess, if they were like a frame pair of like straight or skinny jeans, these would probably sell for 30. But since they're wide leg, I would expect that these would sell for around 60 to 80, give or take. Maybe a little bit lower, but not by much. I would say that their regular ones would probably be in like the 30 to 50 range if it was just like a straight or a skinny. But I would say that overall, right now, skinny jeans have not been selling that great. This is another one where I found actually a few of these. This is True Religion. This might be a brand that you know. I found a few pair of True Religions, and it was the same thing. Like, when I was looking some of them up, a lot of like the skinny and the straight ones were just not selling that well. But this was one where this is, and if you don't know, on True Religion, they have the style name right where it says, right over here, it says section, and then it will say, like, this one is the Joey, and so that will have to be the style name. So this is a like kind of boot cut flare pair of white True Religion jeans. It's got some distressing build into it. Really nice pair of jeans, very clean, very nice design. There's not a lot of sales on this, at least on eBay. I could probably get a little bit more money if I sold it on Poshmark, but I'm focusing on one platform right now. But I would say that comfortably this is at least $60, but I could probably get a little bit closer to 80. I'll probably list it at around 90 to 100. and see what happens and take a good offer. But I would expect that at the end of the day, I'll probably get about $60 for that. And this one I paid $14.99 for. Just a couple items left from the first Goodwill, and then we'll go to the second one. This is a new brand for me. This is a men's kind of sweatshirt, long sleeve crew neck type thing. It's a brand called Holderness and Born. I haven't seen it before. It feels really good. Nice material. I don't think it's... this is polyester and elastane, surprisingly. I mean, it feels like that, but the comps are really good on it. If I remember correctly, I think it was around 30 to 50. And I got this for $11.99. Boom. When you're buying a brand, you have to know how it sells. And that's something that you oftentimes can only learn through selling it. So this is a brand that is very popular, and it's a higher end brand. It's a brand called Peter Millar. You've probably heard of it. Now, something that I've noticed, though, is that in pre-owned condition, some of Peter Millar's basics, their shirts, their pants, etc., they'll sell, but they'll sell for like $20 to $30. Considering how expensive it is, that's actually a little bit surprising. I think it's because some of their stuff ends up in TJ Maxx. I've actually bought some of their stuff at TJ Maxx. There's a couple things going on with this pair specifically that made this an automatic pickup. So first of all, I paid $15 for this. So paying $15 to make $20 to $30 doesn't really make sense when you have other things on the rack. So the question is, why did I buy this? So there's a couple things also to know. So Peter Millar has a sub-brand called like Crown Crafted. This is not that. There's a couple other like Crown designations, but it has sub-brands, and usually those will be better. But the reason why I got this was for a couple reasons. First of all, it's new with tags. So automatically that's great. New with tags, Peter Millar, even just a basic chino would sell for around $40 to $60. But this is also a 100% linen pair of pants. And it's a men's size 36. I'd have to check the inseam. I guess probably around 32. But all of that adds up to make this actually a very, very nice purchase for $15. I would expect that this will sell for around the $60 to $80 range because of the fact that it's one, a good brand, Peter Millar. Two, it's new with tags. Three, it's linen. All of those kinds of things add up to add value onto a purchase. Whereas if this was just a basic pair of pre-owned Peter Millar pants, at this price, I would not have bought it. At $5, I would, but not at $15. But this, at this price, automatic pick. So I was on my way home, and I was messaging a friend, and I was like, hey, do you think that I should hit up another store? And he's just like, yeah, it was like 4 o'clock. I was like, there's a Goodwill on the way. Why not? So I ended up popping up into, just because, as you saw, I didn't buy as much stuff as I normally would at the first Goodwill that I went to because I was being very picky. And so I hadn't spent my budget for the day, and I was like, it's only 4 o'clock. Let me see if I can go to another store. So I went there, grabbed a bite to eat, and then I went to a second Goodwill that was on the way home. So when I got there, I basically focused on the men's section just because of the fact that I actually found a lot of good stuff, and I ended up finding something that I think might be, it's not the best thing I've ever found, but it's up there, and I think you guys will think it's pretty cool. So we'll get to that one in a second, but we'll start with just some of the stuff that I got before then. So this right over here is a tweed J. Crew. The sub-brand is Ludlow, and this is 100% wool blazer. I was actually really surprised by this when I checked up comps. I thought this would be like $40. This is probably closer to $80 in terms of sales. I paid $20 for this. I thought it was going to be in the 40 to 50 range and like would have maybe gotten it. But this was an automatic pickup. The combination of 100% wool, tweed, J. Crew, etc. I thought because it was J. Crew, it would sell a little bit not as well, but I was wrong. This one is a brand that I've heard of, but I don't think I've sold before. This is Todd Snyder. It is a men's kind of dotted dress shirt. And I paid $12.99 for this. Comps for this were right around $40. I'll probably list this for either $39.95, maybe $49.95. I did not think the comps would be that high. I knew that it was a decent brand. I recognized the name, so I looked it up. The comps are there, so into my bag it went. This was a nice find. This is a men's black dress shirt. Really great for like a waiter or something like that. And this is Versace Collection Trend. I would say that this will sell for around $40 to $60. I was not expecting to find Versace. Next up, another thing that I wasn't expecting to find. I actually surprisingly don't find this brand nearly as much as you would think I do, just because of the fact that oftentimes it's priced up so aggressively. Usually, like in some Goodwills, it'll be priced up like $30 or $40. But this is a Lululemon. You probably know it. Lululemon men's small sweatpants. I paid $20 for this. This will probably sell right at $40, maybe $45. I'll probably list it a little bit higher than that and take offers. But again, it's a little bit close on the margin that I'm looking for, but I know that it will sell really fast because it's Lululemon, so I was okay with that. This is another brand where the actual item, like it's not an instant buy, especially at this price point. I paid $12.99 for this, and this brand is Ted Baker. It's a great brand, really high quality, but something like their dress shirts, I wouldn't be able to sell at this price point because their dress shirts resell for around $20 to $30. However, this is kind of like a chino feeling dress pant, and I would say that based upon the comps that I saw, this will sell in like the $40 to $70 range, give or take. This was a fun one. Again, you'll notice that I talk a lot about materials. It's something that I've been really focusing on a lot recently. So this is a brand that's called Vince. And if you know about Vince, is that usually if you see the Vince tag, you know that it's going to have some kind of higher end material. This is a 99% wool men's flannel. It also has the pearl snap buttons, which adds value as well. This is perfect going into winter. It's not like super heavy, but it's definitely got a little bit of weight and warmth to it. And the combination of the wool, Vince, the pearl snap, the flannel, all of that, the plaid, all of that is the kind of keyword stacking that I look for in a listing. Now, here is the pair of pants that I was talking about that I think, well, this might not be like the highest value item that I've ever found. I do think that this is a super cool item, and I did not expect to find this just sitting there. Like, it was sitting there. I don't know why. This is not vintage. This is definitely modern. This is a Polo Ralph Lauren pair of jeans. And at first, you might be like, well, why did I pay $25 for a pair of Polo jeans? Like, maybe if it was $5 to $10 and you sell it for $30 to $40, but $25 to $40 to be honest. But why would I do that? Well, the reason why is because this is like a patchwork quilted, and this is the design. This is not just somebody random did this. This is actually how it was sold. I saw other ones like this that have sold for around $100, $90 to $80 to $100 in that range. But this is just a super, super cool, like distressed patchwork quilted pair of Polo Ralph Lauren jeans. I did pay $25 for it. I think that at the worst, I'll get $50 for it, but I think that I'm much likelier to get closer to $100 for this. And just thought this was super cool, super unique. Was very surprised it was there. There was like a few other people who kind of looked like they were doing something similar to what I was doing there, and they had gone through the pants. I went through the shirts and sweaters first, and then went through the pants. And I was blown away that this was still there. It should not have still been there. But that's the thing. If you're willing to pay a little bit more per item, you buy the stuff that other people are maybe not willing to pay a little bit more per item. And if you're checking your comps and if you're checking your sell-through rate, you can do that because you know what a good item is. This one was actually a new one for me as well. So this is a brand called Alaskan Hard Gear. It's a sub-brand of Duluth Trading Co. I think Duluth is like okay if you get it in like the $2 to $5 range, and it depends on the item as well. Like, I'm not going to blindly say that it's good. I haven't sold it too much. It's something, the brand I need to look into a little bit more. But this one I was really surprised. This is kind of like a heavier weight flannel, nice plaid design on it. It's a men's 3XL, which, you know, is always going to be a good size for selling online. I was really surprised. I paid $11.99 for this, and comps for this looked like they were in the $40 to $50 range. So, and that was pre-owned, so I was very happy with that. This is a navy blue blazer that I paid $15 for. This is from a brand called Hart Schaffner Marks, and I think they're like a Nordstrom style brand or a Nordstrom brand. This is a brand that you really have to be careful with just because of the fact that it's a brand that you think should sell for a lot more than it does, and it's a brand that you think should sell for a lot quicker than it does. But a lot of the time, I've seen that the Hart Schaffner Mark stuff can take a little bit longer to sell than you would expect. However, this is a good size. It's a men's 48, so it's a little bit on the larger size. It's navy blue. I believed this is 100% wool, but I didn't find a material tag on the inside, so I'll probably just put that in the description, not in the title. But it's navy blue. I checked comps. This sells for around 40 to 50. If I wanted to sell it fast, I'd probably list it at like $39.95 and take an offer. But this is the kind of thing, like, for people who are like buying stuff new at Nordstrom, they would think that this would sell for like 80 to 120. But the resale on this is not as strong. But paying $15 to sell it for somewhere in like the 35 to 50 range, I'm okay with that. It's, there could be a better margin, but I know that if I list this at $39.95, it should sell fairly quick, especially because it's a larger size, it's navy blue, it's a good color, etc. This one actually was another one that, this was new to me, but I would recommend keeping an eye out for this. It's a brand called Maurizio Baldassari. Kind of hard to see. It's made in Italy. This is a gray blazer, and I paid $15 for this. And comps on this look like this selling in like the 80 to 120 range, possibly a little bit higher. I was really, really happy with this. And it's the kind of thing where sometimes you're going through a rack and you feel something and you're like, oh, that feels good. And that feels quality. And then I look and I see the tag says it's made in Italy. And just because it's made in Italy does not mean it's good. Like a lot of Kirkland stuff from Costco, a lot of their pants are made in Italy. It doesn't mean it's good. But it's the kind of thing where if I look at it, I don't know the brand, I'll just look up a comp real quick and see what the solds are. And this one had very strong solds. So I went ahead and grabbed that as well. And last but not least, well, nothing too crazy, to be honest. I like selling this brand. It's an okay brand. I paid $15 for it. It's a navy blue blazer from a brand called Bonobos. It is their slim fit. And this is 97% wool, so it's like a wool lycra blend. Navy blue, slim fit blazer. I'd have to check the size, but it's a 38 regular. Good size. And just very standard quality stuff. I would say that this will sell for around 40 to 60 bucks. And that's that. So that's the video for today. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you found a new brand that you like. Hopefully if you do this for yourself, you can go find all of these kinds of things at your stores. I will say, I'm very fortunate. I live in San Diego. I live in an amazing part of the country. And the Goodwills here can be very good. And so I do want to make sure that I am aware of that. But at the same time, every single region is going to have its own kind of nature in terms of the things that you're going to find. The other week I was at a national park, and on the way out, and I'll actually pull this item so I can show it to you. Hold on just a second. On the way out of the national park, I stopped at a thrift store, and I found, and this was in a very small town, but it was on the edge of a national park, I found this really amazing vintage REI color block, woman's large hooded windbreaker. And it was because I knew that if I was going to be in a small town with a thrift store right outside a national park, they'll probably get a bunch of donations from people who maybe had been at the park or people who had been working at the park and were finishing up their season, etc. And really, I was only in that store for about 5 minutes, and this was just the most obvious thing to buy, and I was in a bit of a rush, so if I had more time there, I would have found a lot more stuff. But every single town, every single region is going to have its nature. If you're working somewhere where there's going to be a lot of work gear, something like this kind of, higher end flannel, then that might be something that comes up. So I don't want you to feel like just because I'm in San Diego, like I'm getting all this good stuff. Like I see videos from people all over the country and they find equal or greater quality stuff, but you have to just know your region and what people are into, There's some people that I follow over in South Carolina. Golfing is huge there. They find tons of high-end golf stuff all the time. So these are the kinds of things where as you get to know your neighborhood, as you get to know the stores, you'll get to know what it is that you can and can't find. And you just have to learn what to keep an eye out for. And you're going to just do that through checking comps, checking sell-through rate, and then just taking a chance, selling something, seeing if it works. And on that note, just wanted to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. If you have a favorite item, I'm actually curious what your favorite item is. So drop that in the comments below as well. And thank you for taking a second to like the video as well. It helps a lot. If you want to subscribe, please do. And have a wonderful day.